Hey, it must be Thursday.
It's Thrive with Rob and Jason. Rob, another Thursday here, and we actually made our intro this week.
We did. well, here's the thing. This week, I swear, I have to tell you, technology will always be a challenge. This week, our software provider that we use to do this decides yesterday, and I get the email last night. Hey, listen, when you wake up in the morning, it will be upgraded. Yeah. Thanks, guys. Completely all over the place, new stuff, and goodness, it's good to be here though, and it is good that it's Thursday. And see, you see Jason's smiling face. That's because it's a season of hope.
Of course,
Look
Rob,
at look
of
at it.
course.
Just
We
no,
got
no.
we got my University of Texas Longhorns #1. We got the Denver Broncos right now. They're #1. They haven't played a game yet.
Okay, here's the deal, guys. They've neither have played a game that matters, and So here's the thing. There's nothing yet. I have to tell you though, and of course I know it's preseason, but the Seahawks kind of just went out and beat the tar out of the Chiefs. Did you see
Rob,
that?
I did see that. I did see that, but it is preseason, so
Yes,
that
we have that
mean
caveat.
nothing.
That's right. Hey, we're getting ready though for football because the national champions play. Here's the thing. I got a little bit of a beef. Why are you putting Texas at number? Is Arch Manning's family like paying off people so that they're number one?
Legacy family, the kids excellent. We have an amazing defense. We are #1 right now, Rob. We're the cool thing is about this that we actually get this settled in the first week, right? When Texas does play Ohio State.
And no, because here's what Sarkisian's going to do. Because trust me, Sarkisian was my coach at University of Washington. Here's what Sarkisian's going to do. Sarkisian's going to go, well, it was early. We didn't know what. Come on. He got beat like a drum in several times when we had good teams when he was the coach in week 1. It was like, well, we didn't see those looks last year, so we didn't know. So just wait for it, because the national champions, you're going to be in our house. You're going to be at our house, and we are going to welcome you Buckeye style.
It's going to be a good game. It is. It's I am so looking forward to it because we do have our friendly bet on the line with some bragging rights, because
yes.
We're going to be talking about it on the show here as this comes. But that's coming up very quickly for that game. And
I haven't told my wife yet. I might have to buy a Texas hoodie.
I'll have to text her.
Yes, exactly. I have not told her yet that there's a possibility that we'll have a Texas hoodie in the house, which is funny because actually I've been to Texas quite a bit lately. So it's funny that I'm going to have to go buy a Texas hoodie.
Well, I like that you say that you're going to have to go buy, because you already know they're going to win. So see,
it's a possibility. But I also have a good place for you to get a Buckeye hoodie that are really sharp, and especially since you're in Colorado where it's cold, you'll need a nice warm.
That's
hoodie.
okay. No, nothing wrong with that at all. But hey, and then also we have our fantasy football league getting ready to start.
It's all full. Thank you so much for everybody that did join. We play fantasy football, and I always love this because I got a comment. I think it was on TikTok. I got a comment that said, well, yeah, you start a league so you can win. League's been going for 22 years. I've won 3 times in 22 years. 3 times. And I'm a pretty good, I know my football. Fantasy football is just, it's fun though.
It is fun. It's a lot of fun.
I'll tell you this, it has made the whole NFL. It was a smart move. Mm-hmm. And, NFL at first could have fought it and talked about fighting it because it wasn't licensed. Mm-hmm. And going back into the olden days, when most of our viewers were probably still in middle school, they thought about fighting, and what they did, they leaned into it, and it's turned everything. It's branded. I mean, there are complete shows now about fantasy football.
Oh yeah, it's crazy in how fast it's grown. Well, not fast, but just the popularity of it and bringing more fans into the fold. It's been an integral part of that fan experience with NFL, and so the NFL is as big as it is and continues to grow. It's just it's a beast.
Yep, I got a chance to be a part of a call last week about sports and television, and you realize NFL is #1 for viewed sports in the United States. This isn't worldwide, but NFL #1, and college football is #2.
Wow.
So NBA and NHL and all those other things fall in behind that.
Yeah, well, we are America. We are a football land of football. It's just the way it is. I know it's starting to spread across the world with some of those London games and things. I actually just saw an article this past week that London's winning a Super Bowl, and I'm like,
No, it's never going to happen.
Yeah,
That is, you realize this is never going to happen. No, I saw that too, and I was like, yeah, that's a hype train to try to get people to. Now, if you're old enough, you remember they had the European Football League, which
they did. Yes,
that was kind of cool.
Yeah,
But
they did that, and then now they have the other ones. The XFL. They have the other. None of them have really stuck. I do like it, just some other pieces, but football's football. The NFL's NFL. My Denver Broncos. We just bought out, but a couple years ago, and the Walton Penners have actually made another $2 million on the team. It's already went up that much in value in just the last 3-4 years. Not like they need the money anyways, but still, the value's up.
I heard this happening. There's a rumor in Denver that the Waltons are going to replace the Bronco with a smiley on the side of the
rollback prices. I love it. Yeah. Oh, see, this is what we do, folks. This is the fun stuff that we have. But Rob, we do have a couple amazing guests today, and I can't wait to talk with them. We've talked off the air with them, and what are your thoughts about them?
It's going to be a lot of fun. It's going to be a good show.
Yeah, it's going to be great. Well, let's start with our first guest, Dan Hayden, founder of Find Your Azimuth Coaching, helps Christian fathers move from frustration to connection with their teens. With 23 years of Army leadership and deep biblical insight, Dan equips dads to lead their families with wisdom, faith, and emotional intelligence. Welcome to the show, Dan. Great to see you on.
Hey, thanks, guys. Thanks for having me.
Yeah.
Okay, Dan, big question before I leave. Your favorite college football team?
Go Irish. Look, born and raised Catholic. I was born and raised Catholic in southeastern Massachusetts. We had two choices, and we weren't Jesuit, so we went with the Irish.
Understood. See, I remember when Lou Holt was walking those sidelines in the early 90s, late 80s, when they actually won a national championship in 1989.
And they were relevant.
Rocket Ishmael.
Yes,
that's when they played Colorado, University of Colorado. And
they played 2 years in a row. And the Phantom Hold call. I got it. Yeah.
Wow. Actually, you know what? Though, if you watch this show at all, if you're a future guest watching this show, make sure you either pick Texas or Ohio State. That's all I got to say. I'm going to get out of here.
Well, yeah, Dan, it's great to have you on the show. I got to meet you. It's just been about a month or so ago when we started talking about getting you on the show and learning what you do and how you coach, helping teen fathers or teen.
Yeah.
Explain that.
Yeah. There's a difference between fathers of teens and teen fathers.
There you go.
So I appreciate the intro and that's what I do. I help Christian fathers of teenagers in their relationships go from miscommunication and tension to one of genuine understanding and mutual trust. And really the biggest impact, I like to think I have is the legacy piece to that, right? Mm-hmm. And if you think of Christ's ministry starting in, by and large Jerusalem and branching out to Judea and Samaria, that's the impact that I can have on Christian fathers of teenagers. And the impact they have in their kids and their families, and then those around them as well.
Yeah, it's amazing what you're doing, and it's very much needed. You're the first person that I've had a chance to talk to in this space. I'm a father of teenagers, and it can be tough. And one thing that really resonated with me as we started talking about this is how can dads recognize like internal thought patterns that sabotage like a connection with the teens, because we see that separation there, right? We see teens starting to move off on their own, but talk about that.
Yeah. So I coach through the positive intelligence PQ for short, that PQ framework. And what those studies have found is that the root causes for our negative thought patterns, there are 10 of them, and they're called the saboteurs, right? And there are 3 pillars to building your mental fitness, and mental fitness is defined as our ability to manage our day-to-day stressors and anxieties, big and small, with a positive mindset rather than a negative mindset. And through the years, and this is how our brains are wired, and this is how God created us, But our negative thought patterns, those neural pathways have sort of reigned supreme in an effort to survive and allow us to survive just long enough to pass along our DNA. Well, congratulations, Jason, we made it, right? We no longer have to rely on those neural pathways. And there's a better way. But the first thing to do, and this is the first pillar of mental fitness, is to identify your saboteurs, call them out, right? And understanding is for sort of the first step of mastery in this regard. But you have to figure out, which of those saboteurs are sort of having that negative impact on your performance, well-being, and relationships. And then you can start to use micro mindfulness exercises. We call them PQ reps, moments of gratitude. And it's funny because your brain, the neuroscience behind it all is fascinating, because your brain has a process called the reticular activating system. And basically, if you are seeing God in the world and you make a conscious effort to see God in the world, that reticular activating system is going to kick in. And the more you see God, the more you're going to see God. It's like if you're going to buy a yellow car, suddenly the road's filled with yellow cars because your
Start seeing
brain's
them
no
everywhere.
longer filtering them out, right? So,
Mhm.
yeah, identifying your saboteurs is the first step that that dads can have.
Well, and doing some research on what you do and talking to you about this stuff, I love how you approach that. You blend brain science with biblical
Yeah.
principles, because you add in that biblical side that you're talking about here, and it helps build those stronger bonds. I'd love for you to touch on how you marry those two, because a lot of times in faith, we're looking at faith and we're looking at science and two different things, but
Yeah.
you're blending them.
Yeah, and you and I were at the same conference, and we heard a speaker
Mhm.
basically say, and this really stuck with me, and it resonated, that, hey, neuroscience isn't a rejection of the scripture; it's a realization of the scripture, right? The neuroscience and the cognitive behavioral therapy and the sports psychology and the behavioral, all of that stuff is a fulfillment of the scriptures, right? Again, this is how we were created in Christ, and we shouldn't be rejecting that.
Yeah.
And that has been my goal since I found PQ and decided I want to coach through PQ. Well, now I also want to dig deeper and find that intersection between faith and mental fitness, and I think I'm there, and I'm super excited to finally be in that space.
Awesome. Well, you guys can check out more information here on Dan. Dan, as we continue talking here,
Yeah.
Us as men, we want to leave a legacy and not just like instructions on things. How is modeling faith, presence, and intentionality for the next generation? How do you do that through this piece? Because we still want to show love. We still want to show all these things, but legacy is a big part.
Yeah, and what the PQ does is allow you to live in the fruit of the spirit, right?
Mhm.
It allows you, and it's not a rejection of your saboteurs, your negative thought patterns, right? Because the way your brain is wired, it's going to happen. There's not much you can do, right? And that's part of our automatic nervous system. But what it allows us to do is live in what we call the sage powers: explore, empathize, activate, navigate. And that's really the fruit of the spirit, and allows us to live in joy, love, peace, patience, et cetera, right? We all know the verse, we all know the song. And it's building that self-command, it's identifying those moments of negative thoughts, calling out your saboteurs, and then shifting into sage, right? And there's many different ways we can do that, and we can build those neural pathways. And I'll tell you, and I think I told you this story, but I discovered PQ for me.
Yeah.
Okay, so and this was my Jerusalem, and then my daughter was having a lot of. She's a great athlete and she's a softball pitcher,
Yep.
but she would melt down mentally and emotionally on the mound if the ump was squeezing her strike zone or
Hmm.
something like that. And because of PQ and because of my work with faith and mental fitness, that allowed me to build and gain that trust of my teenage daughter. Jason, did you hear those words? My
I did. Yeah.
teenage
Right.
daughter.
That doesn't happen.
Right. She trusted me, albeit in these circumstances, right?
Mhm.
She's not going to trust me talking about boys, and that's okay, because I don't want to hear it. But she trusted me enough to the point where I started teaching her these mental fitness techniques,
Mhm.
and suddenly she gave up a home run, second pitch of the game, just kind of like watched it fly by, knew what was going to happen, Ball comes back to her. She struck the next 3 girls out on 10 pitches. Okay.
Mhm.
And came back with a big smile on her face. And she's, Dad, it works. And I said, yeah, I know it works. Right. But the point is, Jason, they have to see it in you first.
They do.
Right.
Mhm.
What I've heard is, oh, you can work with my athlete. I could. I don't want to. I
More
want
than
to
that,
work with
though.
you.
It's
I
more than
want
that, though.
to.
Yes.
That's right. That's right. Because there's a legacy piece to it. Because fast
Mhm.
forward 2 months later, she's at summer camp with some of her friends. And one of them, my daughter noticed, like, hey, she doesn't look right. And she walked up, she's like, hey, are you okay? And she's like, I don't think so. I think I'm having a panic attack. And my daughter said, do you trust me? And she said, of course I do. And she put her arm around her shoulder, right? Took her under a tree and led her through
Mhm.
some prayer and some mindfulness exercises. And the girl, she's like, this is amazing. You're so brilliant. I love you. And she goes,
Mhm.
that's my dad. It's what he taught me, and she came
See,
back from camp super fired up. Dad, guess what I did?
that story there when you told me that when we talked a while back, that's when I was like, we got to get you on the show, Dan, because
Yeah.
that right there, that changes lives.
Yeah. Yeah. And again, that's the legacy piece.
Love that
Yep.
legacy you're leaving and passing on to your children, Dan. That is super cool.
But guys, here, let me check
Thanks,
this up
Rob.
here one more
Yeah,
time.
I appreciate it.
Check it
Yeah,
out.
hey,
Dan
another
Hayden.
legacy that I am leaving with my kids, and I'm starting up. I'm also a baseball fan. I grew up in Massachusetts, so go Red Sox. And at the cost of upsetting Yankees fans, I taught my kids early, like when they were 4 or 5, Yankees. We were actually living in New York at the time. Yankees don't like puppies or little kids, so just spread that word, okay?
That's it. They don't. They totally don't.
Oh, I love it.
Dan is my new friend. I cheer for. Here's my rule. My favorite team is whoever is playing against the
Yeah,
Yankees.
attaboy.
Agree.
That's the way we do it. Dan, so great to have you with us on today's show. We appreciate you so much.
Yeah, hey, thanks, guys. I appreciate your time and your generosity with your audience. Have me back on anytime. I have plenty of stories for you.
Perfect. Thanks, Dan. Man, he's doing some really cool things, Rob. That's when I talked to him previous. And this legacy piece that he has is amazing, and how he's helping fathers of teens, not teen fathers, but fathers of teens.
Yes.
Got to make sure we do that, right? So
Yes. Got to get that right. Otherwise, it's really awkward.
Can be, yes. But man, our next guest, James Taylor Davis, is a Christian author, entrepreneur, and advisor, calling believers to rise up in business and culture. His best-selling book, Parable for the Republic, inspires readers to use their God-given gifts boldly in today's marketplace. James Taylor Davis, welcome to the show. And we were just talking about some TikTok stuff off air before we started the show. You got to tell us a little bit of the story of the TikTok with the miniature horse in Kentucky here.
Yeah, Jason and Rob, it's a pleasure to be with you this morning. But I started TikTok simply just posting videos of me taking care of my pregnant wife's cravings, and it could be a Facebook Marketplace purchase or sale. You never know. To get a nursery put together, or it could be a run to Sonic, and I just started filming my pregnancy side quest excursions, and that got millions and millions of views. And then as of recently, I've been talking a lot about faith in business or faith in politics. And the other day, she was downtown running errands and picked me up here at my office. We were going to go grab a bite to eat. And we saw a miniature horse on the side of the street here in Lexington, Kentucky. And I just said, honey, pull over. And I started filming and had this, unbelievable, Kentucky style interaction with the owner, and got out and, pet the mini horse. Her name is Darlie. She's 24 years old. She's beautiful. She's healthy. She has great bangs, beautiful eyes. We gave her some mints. Her owner is an author of World War II fiction. He sits out in his front yard, and he says that Darlie is everybody's horse, in the neighborhood and whatever people walk by.
A million views of this too, right? This is crazy. This is awesome.
Yeah. So I posted that, and it kind of blew up over the next couple of days, had millions of views, and so it's been fun.
Well, awesome. With you being an author, an entrepreneur, all of these things, I'm an entrepreneur. We talk about faith, business, all these things with Thrive here. I would love for you to start talking about your book, and what's the heart behind Parable for the Republic, and why now?
So the heart behind Parable for the Republic is that we as believers are called to multiply are talents. We're not called to bury them. Jesus made that very clear
Parable of the talents.
in the parable of talents. And so I was reading the parable of talents one day. Our pastor here at Emmanuel Baptist Church in Lexington, Ron Edmondson, he's an amazing just Bible teacher. If he can make somebody like me understand the heart of the scripture, then he's a pretty good pastor. So, but he was preaching on the parable of talents, and I really started thinking about the parable of talents and thinking back over my life. And I just thought, I'm called to write a book about the parable of talents and how it applies to our American republic. And one of the most, divisive or controversial things that I say in the book is, and I say it in speeches when I speak at churches or conferences, is, we look around at the culture around us, and a lot of times people go, well, it's socialism or communism or a trans agenda, all these things. These are our biggest problems. These are the sources of our cultural backsliding. And I make the argument in the book that the greatest threat to the spread of the gospel are not those external things. We like saying that it's the external things because we know you can't control external things. But we like to say it's the external and ignore the fact that it's really us. It's the church. It is within us, and our complacency has led us to a position of impotence culturally. But the good news is I'm starting to see that tide turning.
That's amazing. And I know in doing some research before our discussion here, you talk about the private sector has been leading the way in faith. What do you mean by that? And talk to the audience, because I completely agree with you, as I have, groups and things that we talk about faith and business, but please expand on that.
Well, it really has. I mean, if you look at what's going on in the private sector, you look at what's going on, in private markets. I mean, we saw the Jesus-focused commercials during the Super Bowl. That's not a government thing. No. But I think it's now led into our government being more of a, faith is open, style government with the current administration, or as previously they were completely opposed to it. It felt like. And so I'm starting to see that tide turning. But I think that if you really want to change the culture, you can't look to the White House to do it.
No.
You cannot look to the White House to do it. And you probably just need to start out by looking at the person in the mirror and go, well, let's start here.
Yes. Yep. Nope. Completely agree. And as entrepreneurs, we have a lot of entrepreneurs in our audience that are watching and listening. I'd love for you to touch on how entrepreneurs can practically live out their faith without compromising success, because that is a big thing that we talk about.
Yeah. I've never had a faith-based conversation with somebody in my office, with an employee or with a client or anything like that, because I walked in and said, good morning, I'd like to talk about Jesus. I think the best way to spread the gospel in entrepreneurship is by your example, because as an entrepreneur, sometimes you take arrows, sometimes you take slander, and how you react to that, how you behave in that, how you handle pressure is what's led people to say, we got attacked in this way, or that happened, or this happened, that was bad, and it could turn out worse, but you just seem cool and collected. How are you like that? And then that gives me an opportunity to say, well, I feel that way because I have great faith. I'm not gonna lash out at this person because that's not what Jesus teaches us to do. And then all of a sudden, somebody who's not a believer goes, well, tell me about this Jesus, or I went to church when I was little, but I don't believe, or maybe I was pushed out of church. Whatever their story is, it gives me an opportunity as an entrepreneur to say, well, let's go back to Jesus.
Yes. And I love that. And being able to center it around him that's the key to everything. Kind of how I lead is, it's not my business, it's his, and I'm just being a steward of it. He's allowing me to have that, and being able to lead that from faith-based, Christ-based principles. That's where we thrive. And that's where we have those foundational pieces. But I love how you talk about people coming in, because we work with everybody, secular, faith-based, all these things. But when we're leading by Jesus, it opens that door to have those conversations.
100%.
I would love for you to talk on, give 3 top priorities you believe every faith-based business leader should have.
I think the first thing they should have is a standard operating procedure for themselves as to how they're going to get themselves right to go into this world that we live in. But I think if you don't start the day in some level of prayer or reading of scripture to really set the tone, because I think this is one of the things I wrote about in the book, if you just wake up and walk out into the world, you just walk out as your default self. And, you know, we're told when we're younger, you're perfect the way that you are. But in reality, if you're perfect the way that you are, you'd have everything you always wanted. You know, your default self is not good enough to go out into the world and be the best disciple that you're called to be. So I think the first thing you've got to do is really set the intention, the focus of your Christian leadership before you go out into the world. The second thing I think is to remind yourself people are watching. People are watching, your children are watching, your friends are watching, your employees are watching. People are watching, and they're going to take into account how you act and behave and react. The third thing is do not perform for the crowd. Do not perform for the crowd. That's the third thing. Perform for an audience of one. I wrote that book for an audience of one. When I go on television and, you know, I'm going back and forth with somebody over, you know, as a political commentator, whatever it may be, I'm not performing to win that debate or for the crowd who's watching. I'm performing for an audience of one. When I'm growing my wealth management firm and I'm working with clients and we're, you know, working really hard in the markets to deliver excess value, you know, that may seem like it's for the clients, but in reality, I'm working at my highest level for an audience of one. So if you can start your day the right way and set the intention, you can remind yourself that you're being watched, and the way you act and behave and think and speak and lead has consequences, good and bad. And thirdly, if you can perform for an audience of one, you can set a new level for your, you know, Christian leadership and your entrepreneurship life.
And those are some big steps. That's awesome, because all of those pieces are foundational pieces to everything that we do. One thing that, in doing some research and talking with some people on this, that I love about this is, you know, as entrepreneurs, we're all part of the hustle, right? But one thing that you are very adamant about is putting family first in that hustle.
100%.
I love that, because, you know, I'm a father of 4 myself. And we had some discussion that's why you started your TikTok with your wife's cravings and stuff, but family is always part of your discussion. And man, I love that you do that. So thank you for that.
Absolutely. I think you got to be unapologetic about family. I mean, and not too long ago, I had the opportunity to meet with a really big client who was referred to us, and he wanted to meet very quickly, had to get stuff done. He wasn't happy with who he was with, and they weren't responsive, and he wanted to get this done like now, basically. And the time he requested was during our daughter's doctor appointment. And so I told my staff, like, hey, call him back and tell him I can't meet at the time. I got a doctor appointment for my daughter. And if he has a problem with that, then we're not going to be in a line.
We're not going to work. Yeah.
And either he'll just say, okay, well, I'm looking for, you know, a yes man. I'm looking for somebody to just be an order taker. Or if he's looking for an advisor with some character, then he'll say, okay, well, I respect that. And, you know, I got back that afternoon. I said, so what happened? He said that that's the exact type of advisor he's looking to work with. So sometimes it pays off, and the other times you have to be willing to walk. Like, I don't think you, and as a Christian entrepreneur, there has to be some things you won't do. There has to be some things that you won't tolerate, because people again are watching. If a employee of yours sees you slip in your, you know, in your principles and your ethics, they're going to go, well, was he really that serious about Jesus? Was he really that serious about following him?
Man, James, that's amazing. Being unapologetic about your family. I love that, and those foundational pieces, but man, it's been great having you on the show.
Thank you very much. It's been a pleasure.
Man, awesome. And I'm going to go check you out on TikTok.
Come along.
As soon as we get done here, I'm going to go look for the horse. It's great.
Right at
great
the top,
having you, sir.
little black miniature horse. You'll see her. She's beautiful.
Man, where did the time go? Went by way
fast.
Too fast again.
But hey, we've made it another week, Rob. A couple amazing guests, as you know, always, and can't wait to have some more next week and in the weeks following. But man, another week's gone.
Another week's gone. It's incredible to get to do this. We want to thank you for everyone who watches every week. We appreciate you. Thank you for watching Thrive, and we're here to help you go out and thrive.